This video was supposed to come out on Sunday, but it is on point, and I hope you like it. How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse. Let's come down a little bit. And I am the curator for the Golden Age, and I am back for another comic book video. Now, this is one of the rare occasions where the holiday and my birthday fall on the same day. So, since it's my birthday, I'm going to do my request that I've been wanting to do for a little while, and also honoring Father's Day at the same time. Let's hope this video comes out in time.
What two things are you celebrating?
Father's Day and birthday.
Isn't today Juneteenth?
Well, yeah, but I'm not celebrating that. Anyways, today I decided to review a father that was also a hero from the Golden Age. I know a concept like that doesn't really come up very often, but that's why I thought Father's Day would be the perfect day to do it. Today we are covering the second appearance of the Black Owl. Well, not the second appearance, the second Black Owl. Now, this isn't like other heroes where, you know, you have two different publications putting out the same hero with the other name, like some of the heroes that I've covered, like with Miss America and the Owl. This is actually two people in the same continuation taking on the same identity. Now, I'm going to explain who the second Black Owl is and his relation to the heroes, which is Yankee Doodle. I've covered them before if you want to see the patriotic video I cover. So I'll briefly cover his first appearance because it's mainly Yankee Doodle's first appearance. And then we will cover his first issue where he actually becomes the Black Owl.
This seems like this is becoming very convoluted. Are you sure about this?
I don't know. I thought maybe I could do one of my own requests for a change. I still have the list. Okay, anyways, let's go ahead and cover the Black Owl, the second one, for Father's Day. And if we have enough time, because the first appearance is a long story, then we'll briefly cover his role in Project Superpowers. It's a little different than some of the other people. His powers were more of a mystical nature in Project Superpowers, and if you read it, you completely understand. So, let's go ahead and get this video started on
Lost Heroes of the Golden Age.
Let's do it. Walt Walters first appeared in Prize Comics number 34 in 1943. Publisher was Prize Comics. He was created by Paul Norris. Now, that's when he first appeared as the Black Owl. His very first appearance was in Prize Comics number 13. Now, I will briefly cover his first appearance in issue number 13, but I'm not going to fully cover that one because that's more of the first appearance of Yankee Doodle. Because he is the father of Yankee Doodle, he appeared along with them. Now, he wouldn't take on the mantle until number 34, and that's when the original Black Owl, Doug Danville, would transfer the mantle over. I guess he thought that Walt would be a good choice because he knew who Yankee Doodle was. Now, to cover Walt, it says that shortly after the boys were born, he was taken hostage by some Hitler supporters, and his wife was killed as a result of this. Now, I hadn't found that bit of origin history in the first couple of issues. That's what I see in his origin story. I haven't been able to find that, but I'm not going to dispute it either. Now, in the first appearance, they mentioned that he was a military officer, and they talk about him being an inventor. So he was a military officer and an inventor, and by the time we get to issue 34, Doug was talking to Walt about how they were both in, high school? Okay, he doesn't specify whether it was college or high school. He says that he was one of the best athletes at school, and he still appears to be in good shape. So they've known each other for like forever, I guess. Now, the reason that Doug is giving up the mantle is because he wants to join the military. Now, due to something I saw on Wikipedia, someone who does work on the Golden Age said, by making Black Al the father of Yankee Doodle, the editors found a way to combine their best heroes into one popular feature, which that is a really good way to explain why the Black Al would team up with Yankee Doodle. If it was just another person, it wouldn't make any sense. Now, I find this a fascinating idea because in Marvel, even in comic books in today, even though we have legacy characters, it's not often that you will see the parents and their children together in the same team. Now, the idea is not very common nowadays and was unheard of in the Golden Age. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, a lot of people had wards, like Batman had his ward Robin and Mr. Scarlet had his ward Pinky. Those were wards, kind of adopted son. These were actually his kids that he teamed up with, and I can't find anything else like that in the Golden Age that follows that. So that's why I thought that this would make the perfect Father's Day cover, is an actual father not only supporting his kids who were heroes, but actually teaming up with them. Now, if this video isn't running too long, we'll cover his appearance in Project Superpowers. It was this version, not Doug, that appeared in Project Superpowers. Let's see. In the later issues, there were a couple of issues he didn't appear in, and they gave a reason for why he wasn't there. But he didn't appear in since he appeared in number 13, he didn't appear in number 54 or 65, and he was not in the very last issue of 68. But after 68, Prize Comics would become a Western comic, and they dumped a lot of their features, which was Yankee Doodle and Black Al. Ever since they combined, though, I think that they were a feature of a number of the comics, and I think that they were almost every feature cover. That's how popular they were. Just putting them on the cover almost ensured that the comic would sell, even though they weren't always the first thing. Prize Comics was trying to push a number of their other features. So, Yankee Doodle and Black Al draw them in, and then you have to flip almost all the way to the back to find their comics, forcing you to see some of the other stuff along the way, which that stuff was kind of hit or miss. I've looked a little bit of it. So let's go ahead and cover the very first time that Walt becomes the Black Al. Near the end of the run, the Black Al does get shot, and he decides that, well, he will decide over a number of issues whether he's going to leave the hero game behind or not and leave it to the younger generation. In the very last issue, he does actually appear in number 68, but it's the very last panel of the story just saying, hey boys, how does it go? And they don't include that on his public domain appearance, but he was actually there in the very last panel, but not as the Black Al, just as himself. He does decide to give up the adventuring after a while, but they teamed up for a lot of appearances. They did not know who he was at first, even though his first time as the Black Al, he finds out who they are. They would later team up, they would later find out who he is, and it is probably one of the greatest trios in the Golden Age. So let's cover, well, I'll briefly discuss his appearance in number 13, and then we'll cover him for the first time in number 34. Now, in the opening panel of their first comic, they, I'll read it. America's youth shall not be denied its chance to safeguard American democracy. With this in mind, the Walter twins, son of a military officer, crusade against all un-American activities as Yank and Doodle. As the story opens, we find Dick and Rick, the Walter twins, attending Midtown High School. And that's how we find out that their father was a former officer. Now, we know that he is raising the twins all by himself, and that he is an inventor. Now, let's see. The boys went to join active service, but they're denied because they're too young. And then we find out that the father was an inventor, and he just invented a dive bomber. Certain type of plane. As he's going to go deliver the plans, he gets kidnapped by Russians, who you can only tell that they're Russians by the way that they speak. They have very un-American intent. Yank and Doodle chase him down to help to release their father and stop the Russians, and even their father lends a hand by taking out one of the Russians guys. They beat up the bad guys, give him the plans, and then he takes off. But, let's see, 3 mugs are all tied up with the sign of them, and the big, 3 mugs all tied up with this sign on them, and the big guy is Von Guth the Saboteur. They don't mention anything about him ever being kidnapped before. I mean, if he was kidnapped a long time ago, he would have been like, kidnapped again. It's never mentioned. And since a lot of times these stories are insular, they don't mention this kidnapping again. That was a lot of time with Golden Age comics. Except for the rare few that went from one to the other. Most of these were very insular. So, if you don't know what I mean by that, one comic, one story. They didn't usually transfer to the next one. The things that happened in one didn't happen in the other, except for based on the heroes that were in the comic. We open up Yank and Doodle, American Fighting Twins, starring the Black Owl. That's how all the other issues would show up, even when the Black Owl wasn't a part of them. Let's see. Agile athletes, superb detective, fearless fighters against the hordes of evil. These are the qualities that strike terror in the black hearts of the underworld when the names of Yank and Doodle are mentioned. Only one other crime crusader can match them in the grim task of battling lawlessness. The Black Owl. And now, these 3 lightning-swift, saber-wielding sleuths joining forces, follow them in the chilling, brawling story of brain and brawn against sinister ingenuity? Yeah, ingenuity. Fight alongside the newest and mightiest trio of gang crushers as they blast through the amazing plundering plot of the most venomous, shrewd master marauder as they have ever encountered when Black Owl joins Yank and Doodle. Yes, it all sounds very stoic. Okay, we come to a number of people in a warehouse, and it looks deserted. Night, and the gang of the notorious Ringmaster is hard at work. Yes, it's the Ringmaster. I really don't know why they thought that. There's so many different kind of menacing villains you can have, and he's the Ringmaster. He carries around a top hat and whip. Okay. Let's see. Golly, Ringmaster, you're a genius to think of robbing this food warehouse. This is only the beginning, gents. Leave everything to me, and we'll be rolling in wealth. Let's see. Yank and Doodle show up and start causing them, havoc. They get backed into a corner, and they found out that there is a vent that they can travel down. They travel down the vents and they get out, and one of them hurts his leg, and Walt sees him and goes, Yankee Doodle, one of them is hurt. I've got to help them. The fighting twins' father passes by, but unaware that they are his sons, for nobody knows their true identity. Then he sees that there is a number of people chasing after him, and he says it was too late to help them. And he is impressed by Yank and Doodle because they are a couple of good boys that are fighting the good fight. Let's see, they get home. What happened, Dick? Why are you limping? He says he slipped on a banana peel. It's nothing serious. But Walter is suspicious because he saw Yank and Doodle and the injury that one of them happened earlier. So that night he sneaks, let's see, so in the small hours, really? Of the night, a fugitive figure steals into the lumbering lad's room. What kind of language is this? Okay, he sees the costume and he realizes that his boys are Yank and Doodle. Why didn't they tell me? Why couldn't they come to me for help? My own sons, Yank and Doodle. I'm proud of them, but hurt too. They could have trusted me, asked me for advice and aid, especially against anyone as clever and ruthless as the Ringmaster. It just doesn't ring right with me about him, the Ringmaster. Well, don't feel bad, Dad. It's the Golden Age. You weren't supposed to know. Anyways, later that morning he gets a call from the Black Owl, as he knows as Doug. So they meet at the gym, and he tells him that he is the Black Owl. And what happened to his hair? I mean, did he touch electricity or something? His hair is standing on end. Okay, he tells Walt that he is joining the army that day. That day? You're passing on your identity. Don't you think you should give more time than just a couple of hours? Okay, 2 outstanding revelations in the matter of an hour that he is joining the army and he's the Black Owl. But still, greater shock is in store for the quite scholarly inventor. A shock that will turn his life upside down. Hang on, reader, or you'll be knocked out of your seat by the incredible developments that are to follow. So Doug tells him that he wants him to become the Black Owl. And he's like, you're kidding, right? And he's like, well, look, you were one of the best athletes back in school. Let's see, why, you could do anything I can, perhaps more, and I can prove it. He goes, okay, prove it. And then we get a little montage of his skills. He does 100 handstands by the, I don't know what those bars are called. They're the 2 bars. A lot of people use them in physical therapy. And then he climbs up the rope, which is 40 stories worth. He swings on the rings, and he does a little jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and he's beating the Black Owl every time. And he's like, well, you're letting me win. He's like, I'm not letting you win. You're actually this good. And before Doug will leave, Walt will show him his invention. Let's see. Here's where I keep my newest invention. A super compressing combination airplane and automobile. But I'll have to make some changes now. Give me a hand, will you? He calls it the Silent Swooper. And the original Black Owl says, I wish I had something like that. So they make the modifications. He puts on the outfit, and he tells him that he's got to shave the mustache or it'd be a dead giveaway. So he does shave the mustache, and he's like, people are going to get suspicious. And he goes like, nope, I have a fake mustache I can put on. So the 2 part ways on very different paths. One goes to serve the country as an army man, and the other goes to serve the country as the Black Owl. Let's see, and then he has a little speech by himself. We dare not fail. With the help of the boys like Rick and Dick, Yank and Doodle, we will not fail. I hope no one's around him while he's saying this out loud. but they must never know who the Black Owl really is. They might try to protect me instead of concentrating on beating crime. Well, you are a bit older than your normal superhero. I would assume. They never do tell his age. But, I mean, he was a military man. His boys are almost old enough for military service, so maybe he's a little bit younger than me or around my age. Anyways, we cut back to the Ringmaster, and let's see, this will be the greatest triumph. Gents, we are about to plunder the penthouse of the fabulous, wealthy Michael Darby. So they get onto the penthouse, and they subdue any of the bodyguards that are around, and as they're going to the safe, one of them accidentally triggers an alarm. Let's see, the Master of Criminal Strategy swiftly summons all the elevators to the top floor so nobody can come up and get them. And then, meanwhile, at the Walter home, the exposition machine comes on. Yeah! The building is surrounded and the Ringmaster is trapped in the penthouse terrace, but the police face a 40-story climb. You see, it's the exposition machine. Yank and Doodle try to excuse themselves, saying that they have an appointment, and Walter's like, go to your room and do some studying. You see, he's setting up their alibi for them because they don't know that he knows. So he puts them into the room, and then he looks out his window. He's halfway out his window, and they don't see him. And it's funny, he's saying this out loud, and they still don't notice him. I have to put more branches on the drain pipe so that they can climb down faster and more safely. Now the Phil the Silent Swooper tanks and get away and get away. Oh, okay, what language are you speaking? Okay, I guess at incredible speed, it says, in a matter of minutes at the building near the one Ringmaster has invaded. They are on a building that is higher than the penthouse that is supposed to be 40 stories high. They are on top of the building looking down at them. How did they get there in a matter of minutes? I don't understand the logic of Golden Age sometimes. As much as I love the Golden Age, some of the stuff doesn't make sense. Okay, so they slide down on ropes and they start to try to battle the men, but they are quickly overpowered because they got them while they were descending. So they didn't have time to change their position. So they get tied up and put on a flagpole, and the Ringmaster starts to cut their ropes so everybody can see them fall. Just then, the Black Owl with his Silent Swooper comes in, and he's like, the boys are falling. So he makes a turn that he's not fully comfortable with because he's just getting used to the controls. He does happen to save them, and they all get into the cockpit together, and the Ringmaster has not seen this happen. The Ringmaster makes his getaway by some... I don't know how. He just happens to get down to the street and get into their cars and make some sharp turns so that the police can't follow him. It doesn't say how he gets down. All the elevators were on the top floor. Anyways, with the Silent Swooper, they follow him to a dry cleaning plant. As they say that they're getting ready for their next job, the Black Owl and the twins pop in, and here we have another page. Here is a moment destined for history, when the wily listlessness of Yank and Doodle is harnessed with the swift wits and thunderbolt power of the Black Owl, and a terrific quick-trapping team is promising plenty of headaches for criminals for a long time to come. I'm sorry to say, you guys, you didn't really go far past the Golden Age, but yeah, moment in history for as long as your comic book exists. So they're starting to take down the Ringmaster, and they're taking down some of the henchmen. The Black Owl throws two of them into a vat of cleaning fluids. And let's see, they're giving the Ringmaster a hard time. They knock him down and go after some of the other henchmen. The Ringmaster gets himself in a perfect position to take a shot at the Black Owl, and the Black Owl falls. They tie up Yankin' and the Black Owl and start pouring liquid all around them. The Black Owl was just dazed by the shot. It must have just grazed him. They light the chemicals on fire and they leave saying, let's see, you cold-blooded killer, you can't get away with this. No? Well, you'll be cinders by the time I've collected funds for my own personal charity. Boodles for Ringmaster. Farewell forever, chumps. Boodle? What? Okay, anyways. I love this exchange right here between Yankin' Doodle. Don't give up. We've been in tighter places before. That's what I keep telling myself, but I can't seem to get myself to listen. The Black Owl finds some liquid solution that is allowing his straps to ease up. So he gets out and untie the boys, but they say that there's no way to reach doors and windows. So they quickly, I guess they see a skylight or just a hole in the building. He hauls the boys up saying, grab the pipes, and then he throws a rope up to them, which he climbs up. Now, we don't see this happening. This is just, it's given to us in exposition. So they get in the Silent Swooper and realize that he's going to the charity gala that's going on tonight. Because, of course, there's a charity gala. Why wouldn't there be? So he goes a different direction. He actually heads to the dock and gets some hooks, and they can't figure out why. And he gets these shipping hooks and asks the old man, and the guy is like, sure, anything for you, Al. And then he sees all three of them and he goes, golly, the Black Owl and Yankin' Doodle, wait till I tell my grandchildren about this. So they storm the gala. One of the guys who's head of the charity tries to run off with the money so the ringmaster can't get it. His thugs beat him and then they escape with the money and they're rushing off. As they're trying to get away, the hooks descend from the swooper, pick up the side of the car, and dump them into the river that they were right by. And the ringmaster's blaming the driver, and he's like, honest, boss, I don't know what happened. As they're getting down out of the water, the Black Owl and Yankin' Doodle descend on the bad guys, and they get the drop on them since they're, busy getting out of the water. They knock out the bad guys. Boy, what a haul, Al. Well, I had plenty of help from my able young allies. With the ringmaster and his henchmen securely behind bars, the famous fighting trio part company. Now, they go off in their separate ways because, they're all trying to hide their identities from each other. He gets back to the house and there's a gunshot on his head where he was grazed by the bullet, so he puts a piece of tape over it. And he's sitting in his chair reading, and we'll just read the last couple of panels here. Hello, Dad. Say, that adhesive tape, what happened? My head? Oh, I hit a beam down in the cellar. What are you two doing out? Is your studying done? A long time ago, Dad. We, must have gone out while you were down in the cellar. Whew, that was close. Golly, I thought he had us that time. Did you see that piece of tape on Dad's forehead? That's where the bullet grazed the Black Owl. Don't be silly, it's just a coincidence, but I wonder who the owl really is. Sharpen your wits and clean your guns, gangsters. You're up against a new terrific tornado team, Yank and Doodle, combined with the mighty of the Black Owl. They'll be back again with Brain and Brawn, another action-packed adventure in next month's Prize Comics. And yes, they are. They actually go on for quite a bit of issues. 34 to 68. That's a good run, especially in the Golden Age. Black Owl doesn't do much in Project Superpowers. They seem to find him, and he's a little bit out of phase at first, not completely there. And they take him to the storehouse where they have Catman, and the Eagle, who is on fire, is also stored there. And as the Black Owl gets closer to Catman, his wild side seems to die down a little bit, and he comes into a little more of his faculties. And as he approaches the Eagle, he's still blazing, but he says he can't feel the pain anymore. And he's just talking about how the urn must have given them power, and together they have a better cohesion team than if they are apart. I believe that is the last time he actually says anything. Not being the main hero of the story, he's there for one of the battles, everybody battling against the entity of Zeus in a armored costume. You kind of have to read it.
Happy Father's Day. I would love to thank all fathers and all types of fathers out there. And I'll be seeing you.